Morning. That face was as ugly as our football was last night. I'm sitting here thinking, like, this feels like going towards a firing squad, this live show. I am not going to enjoy I'm not going to enjoy this, but we've got to have a conversation. I am here after every win, loss, or draw, and it just so happens that there's far, far more losses and far more draws in Manchester United these days. That was, honestly, I think that probably was the low point. I mean, it's certainly the low point for Ruben Amorim. I don't even know any worse low points than that. I suppose you could say 15th, finishing 15th last season, Sam. Probably that, mate. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Look, I'm going to cover everything from last night. We're going to run through Amorim's post-match interview with ITV, which was extremely telling and genuinely looked like a broken man. And I feel like a broken man this morning. Seriously. We're going to run through his post-match interview with MUTV. You're going to have your say. You're going to speak about Amorim. You're going to speak about the players. You're going to speak about what's next. And you're going to get involved in the chat. It's going to be a tough show today. Let me say hello to everybody before we get on with it, as we always do. It can always get worse, Luke. Thank you very much, mate. That cheers me up. Klein, good morning to you. Josh, you're there as well. We've got Steph. We've got Carl. We've got G. Roy. We've got Sam the Flan Man. Richard. Good morning to lots of members and lots of new faces. Steve Green. We've got Sean Collins. Ryan Moram. Plenty of regulars. And who was that to send that in? The rig saying, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Asking for a friend. Well, what was it that Ange said? There was light at the end of the tunnel, but it was a train coming. Thought that was actually a really good quote from him there. Now, that game last night, you saw my match preview. And what my not my expectations, what my hopes were going into it. The Grimsby game, on paper, it's probably an ideal game for United after the game against Fulham. League 2 opposition, away from home, being at home, but is it different? Would that have happened if it was at Old Trafford last night? Probably. But those players absolutely crumbled. And look, I'm gonna go straight into this because I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to speak about Ruben Amorim's system. I'm going to speak about Ruben Amorim's tactic. I'm going to speak about the problems that exist there, right? Because there are plenty of them. But Amorim almost looked betrayed last night. Steve, who's part of the team, said that in the chat this morning. I think that's exactly how he feels. We'll run through these interviews. He looked totally lost. He didn't know what to say. And he kept biting his tongue. How do those players... Now, I know that we didn't play... It wasn't like the perfect game against Arsenal, right? But fucking hell, it was a team performance. And we were massively unlucky not to win that game. How can you go from that and 2 games later, you play like that against Grimsby? That's why he's so lost. He's thinking, everything that we've worked on, everything that you've all said to me, everything that we are going to do, you don't do. And I will say this as well. You know how under previous managers, it's felt like players have down tools. It really has. Like, players are actively not trying. They're actively not doing anything. I didn't look at that game last night and think, oh, those players are down tools. Here we go again. I genuinely think those players are trying. But it feels like there's some sort of like internal demons that no United player can exercise, can get rid of. And that's why he was so... Look at his fucking face, man. He has absolutely no idea what to say or what to do at this point. I'm going to run through the interviews now. Gungshi and Luke, thank you very much for gifting 10 memberships each. But look, Let's see if I hope ITV don't shut me down for this. They probably will, but I don't care. I want to run through this interview, right? Let me see what you're saying in the chat first. He's a seriously proud guy. Ruben's not going to change the formation. I'm going to be speaking about the formation next. Look, man, I know there's kids watching. The occasional swear word's going to pop out here. All right. It is what it is after last night. I think you can give me a little bit of leeway there, mate. Appreciate it. If not, tune in tomorrow. Right, this is Ruben Amorim's post-match interview with ITV. And if you've not seen it, this is pretty much as raw and emotional as an interview as you're going to get from a Man United manager.
Well, there are all sorts of emotions around this stadium tonight. I'm wondering how you sum up yours in the end.
In the end, for me was worse the beginning. It's not about the results. In the penalties, I was not thinking about the penalties to go to the next stage. I was just, I think the way we play, the way we face competition. In one moment that everything is so important, I think the players spoke really loud about what they want today.
That's the first part there. Like, I think the players really spoke loudly about what they want today. It felt to me like Ruben was biting his tongue in that whole interview. Like he wanted to say something completely explosive, completely different, but he knew that he couldn't. And what he's suggesting there is that the way that the players have played, the way that the players have committed themselves or not committed themselves to that performance, well, that tells you everything that you need to know. Down here, fourth. How can I just ask this question down here? For real. How can any of you have the sort of energy in the chat this morning to talk about, oh yeah, play four at the back? Genuinely. That is me asking you a question. How can you have any energy this morning to come in and suggest to me or suggest to anybody that had we only played a different back four last night, we wouldn't have seen those problems? I'm laughing at you. I really am. As much as I know that I'm going to be speaking about those issues next, but that against Grimsby wasn't because we played three at the back. It wasn't because we had two in midfield. My word. It goes down to the fundamentals and the basics. Again, it always comes back to this. It always comes back to it with Manchester United. It doesn't matter like how well you play against Arsenal, what you do well in one game. As soon as you come to one of those games, well, your properly backs are against the wall. You've got people laughing at you. You've got crowd like. As soon as it's almost like, is it hostility? Is it I don't know the right way to describe it. But as soon as you get to one of those games, everything goes out the window that had been worked on, that you were talking about before, that you were doing in training. And it's almost like the players they just get swallowed. And yes, there are system issues. Massive system issues. But you're off your rocker if you're thinking that, oh, if only United played in a 4-3-3 last night, we would have won 7-1. And here we go again. And we reach that point again where you start talking about the players, you start talking about the manager. Is it chicken or the egg? Who comes first? Ultimately, they're all at fault. Scott, you're saying I don't care what the system is, but as a group of internationals, when you play a team like Grimsby, you should be beating them, no questions. It should have been absolutely... It didn't matter what 11 you put out last night there. Should have beaten Grimsby with ease. Just got out-hustled. Absolutely, just always strip it back to the basics in one of these games. Always strip it back to these basics. What are you saying down here? Captain T1, thank you for super chat, dude. What are you saying? 5-2-2-1 or 3-4-2-1. Conte, De Zerbi, Glasner, Thomas Frank, even Southgate play a variation of these, yet perform better than we have for the last 12 months. If Maguire can't work in this formation, something has to be wrong. Why Maguire? It's a very random one there. Glasner, by the way, I guarantee he's going to be one of the managers that's spoken about if Ruben Amorim does leave, or he does walk, or he resigns, or there's mutual agreement. If United do choose to move on, I guarantee you Glasner's one of the 3 managers I think that they should be talking about. And he plays 3 at the back. So enjoy yourself, people. Anyway, let's continue down this interview.
In what sense?
I just, guys, it's really clear. I just want to apologize to our fans and.
Man, I'm bored of hearing apologies about Manchester United. Fully broken. I am this morning. Fully.
And we'll have a game now, and then we'll have time to think.
What was missing? What was the key thing in that first half, especially, that was missing?
Everything.
Yep.
You have to have. We need to be proud to go to the pitch. We know that every draw in Premier League is going to be a huge problem. So you came from one draw. We play quite well both games in Premier League.
Wouldn't say we played well against Fulham.
We know that people will get everything in our club, and we come to the game with a 4th division team, and we perform like that. I think. Again, the players clearly show what they want.
Oh man, I think that word's sticking in my head. He's like, he genuinely feels like he's been betrayed by the players for them to play how they played there. After everything that happened in the pre-season, after the positives that you got out of that defeat from Arsenal, the Fulham game was frustrating. But that game against Grimsby. Man. Someone down there, we didn't get a midfielder, spent 200 million. Should be beating Grimsby without a manager. I agree on that. Captain T1 saying Maguire apparently plays his best in a back 3. Does he? I don't care. Chill Bear, you're saying it has nothing to do with the system. It's something more fundamental. We've had 6 managers that any club would die for, and we still can't get this team to win. You know, honestly, I swear on my life, like Jesus could come in and be this club's manager, and he wouldn't resurrect it. We've had every single different flavour of manager. We've had a big old overhaul in terms of the players we've got in this squad now. This squad is kind of vastly different to the squad that Ruben Amorim has received back in November. You've got the bomb squad. You've got Rashford, who's gone out on loan. You've got Anthony, who's isolated. Sancho's isolated. Madison, who's out as well. Garnacho, who's going to Chelsea. You've brought in, I think, some great players. There's still a massive hole in midfield. You absolutely screwed up Manchester United, and this isn't Captain Hindsight coming here. Like, what on earth was the club's thought process this summer? Is it the hamstring injury that stopped him from Leigh? Maybe, right? Maybe. But this guy going in goal last night is a what? That's on Ruben and that's on his staff. You idiots for putting any faith in this man who deserves absolutely none of it. I suppose that's what man management does. That man management. Leave him in the shadows where he should have been, where he should have stayed last season. After the Lyon game, that should have been the end of it. 1 second, you're getting banned. See ya. That was such a catastrophic mistake to put Onana in goal last night. It's not Captain Hindsight to say that. I've got absolutely no faith in him whatsoever. And there's no way that those players do either. The first proper shot he faced goes through his hand. Second one, don't worry, I've got it. Bang. That was like his first game against, who was it? Wolves. I think it was Wolves. First game at Old Trafford when he came absolutely thundering out to punch. You think, well, that's confident. He just completely missed the ball and then punched everybody else. Unreal. Anyway, there's more to this interview. Unfortunately, it gets worse.
You mean they don't want enough? You mean their mentality isn't good enough?
I think it's not it's hard to speak. I'm 7 months here talking about what the environment or whatever. I think is more than that.
It sounds like you're almost shocked by what you've seen tonight,
Yep.
though.
You are not. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because we are in the moment. Everything is like we are in the moment that we make a lot of changes. We try to fight a lot of things, but then when we have these moments, we need to show up. If we don't show up, you can feel it that something has to change, and you are not going to change 22 players again.
And that's probably the biggest line of it all. That for me, I don't know whether that's like an admission of what he knows is coming after the Burnley game or what he knows will happen in the international break. But remember that Ruben Amorim offered to walk away a couple of times before, and I think it was Jim Ratcliffe who turned him around. Like, on a human level, Amorim has had absolutely nothing but the best intentions for this football club. It was his dream job. He didn't want it mid-season, but he knew he needed to get it mid-season, and he came in. And, yeah, it was a catastrophe like he knew he would be, hence why he didn't want it mid-season. I don't think he did enough to help himself during that first season. But that right there, something has to change, and you're not going to change 22 players again. Why are people putting words in my mouth? Sam was saying Onana should stay over by India the other day. Why are you just lying? Both of them need to go. I predicted Onana would be in goal last night. It wouldn't have been my choice, but I predicted it. Tom Heaton should have been number one at the very start of the season. That's what a lot of United fans felt. Not what United have done. And ultimately, when you think about it, the Arsenal game, a massive goalkeeper mistake has caused the result of that game. You're looking at the Grimsby game. Massive goalkeeping errors have given Grimsby both of their... The second one was a bigger goalkeeping error. The first one, I still think he should have done better. Avoidable. Avoidable with just mistakes. Darren, thank you very much, dude. What are you saying? Amorim's career path into the Premier League should have been Fulham, Palace or Brentford or something, and then United next up needs to have had at least 3 years of Premier League football. Right now, I don't have any sort of energy to speak about what could be happening next, all right? I'm speaking about Ruben Amorim. But like that interview there with ITV was pretty bad. This one here is with MUTV.
I just want to say sorry to our fans. I have nothing to say anymore about the performance when everything is so important in our club and you try to do everything. You have come from the pre-season, even Arsenal, you can lose the game, but you are there, you are improving, you see the performance. But then reach this kind of game, we are when
this kind of game.
Everything is so important in our club, and we start the game like this. I think my players are talking really loud about what they want, so I'm really sorry about to our fans. I have nothing to say anymore.
I think Ruben I think he felt completely out of ideas after that game. Like for the team to have the pre-season that they had, I'll speak about that next. For the team to have the pre-season that they had and the bonding and everything and the time off that he gave the players and the environment that he was trying to create and walking into a brand new £50 million training ground upgrade at Carrington and the players that he'd signed and the players that he pushed out and all the things that he had tried to do from a cultural perspective to improve the environment for the players. That's where he feels betrayed, that he's done all of that and they play like that. Now, were there tactical issues? Are there tactical issues? I mean, absolutely. Right? I said in my match reaction last night about the back three. There's one tweak that I would do. And I had this video planned for the international break. And maybe I will just keep it for the international break, but it might be too late at that point. You can't just chuck out an entire system and think it's going to get better. It's kind of exactly what we did in November when Erik ten Hag left. That didn't work. What would you do from here? I'm going to open it up to the floor. What would you do from this point? Because I don't think Ruben Amorim knows what to do. I don't think he has a new idea to go, we've not done this yet. I think he feels like he's exhausted all the options. And I'm not talking about a tactical perspective. Because, yeah, sure, I don't know, if we change to a 4 at the back, or maybe it'd be better. If we play with 3 in midfield, maybe it'd be better. But you're talking, as I said, you're talking about the surface level. Like, the reason we lost last night was not because of a system. Like, it just the fundamental flaws, the fundamental scars that came in. Like, the only thing that really, truly repairs and heals United is winning again. That's the only thing that can get rid of the scars, the deep scars that we've got from these last few years. But the only way, it's what I mean, that's what you need to heal it, but how do you get it in the first place? And United just can't seem to get past those first few steps, man. Connor's saying, why do people find it so unfathomable that we've hired the wrong coaches in a decade laden with poor decisions? None of them went on to win the Champions League or the Premier League. I mean, if United have had absolutely every flavour of manager. From the experience to the internal and fan favourites to the up and coming in Europe and then up and coming again in Europe, or to the seasoned veteran. We've done absolutely everything. And none of it has led to where we want to be. Jackie saying, I'd love for Amorim to stay and turn it around, but he may have to go. What I will never understand are the fans who find enjoyment in abusing Amorim. Jack, people find enjoyment. People love being first. I was right. I said that 4 months ago, mate. Oh, yeah. Finally, you're caught on. It's more important to them to be proven correct and first than it would be to maybe support someone. Maybe get proven wrong. Maybe you look like a bit of a dick. You might not get a job somewhere else doing that. Who gives a crap? It's what you do as a fan. You support, not unconditionally, but you support probably unreasonably and probably past where most people will go. That's why you are a fan. Fans do sometimes embarrass themselves with their support. But on the odd 1% chance that maybe a player might see what you're saying, or maybe a manager might hear what you're saying, and it's a good thing, it might make a slight difference. Johnny's just saying Wilcox needs to step up and be a goalkeeper buy a goalkeeper in number 6. I'm not even looking at this. I'm not even looking at this as like a panic at the end of the bloody window, man. I'm not looking at this and saying, if we sign a goalkeeper, look, we need a bloody goalkeeper. We've needed a goalkeeper all summer long. Saint Lemons, we're negotiating over the fee. I think we'll get him. I don't think he'll sit there and choose Galatasaray when he knows that United are coming in and when he knows that Manchester United are desperate for a number 1. It is the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm not particularly worried about that. Midfielder, we showed that we wanted Baleba. We couldn't afford him, and I don't think we're going to be going after anybody else. Chris, you're saying his system beats City in the Champions League. I'm seeing a good manager slowly have the fire in his belly extinguished by United, and I'm gutted for him. Mate, I'm properly gutted for him. Do I think he's made mistakes? Yeah, quite a lot. Clearly, I think the system doesn't work in its current format. So, I don't think that throwing the whole system... I've already shown you this before about the fact that I think right now United play with one number 9 up front. We play with 2 number 10s. You got your wing backs, you got your 2 midfielders, and you got your back 3. The only tweak I think he needs to do is to drop that number 9 into the number 10 position, and therefore creating a midfield 3, and then push the 2 number 10s to be split strikers. So it ends up being more of a 5-3-2. You've then got your 3 in midfield, which gets you the extra body, which should help with everything to do with building out from the back, because then you're not going to be overnumbered in the middle, because right now with 2 in the middle, we are getting overnumbered. And it's not a case of throwing the whole system out the window and changing everything. You're still keeping the back 3. You're still keeping the wing backs. All you're doing is simply flipping. Instead of having 1 up front, you have 2. And instead of having 2 number 10s, you have 1. That's what you flip. And then you get 3 in midfield. And I think that's probably the biggest issue. There's a lack of 3 in midfield. More than having 3 at the back. Rex saying, I'm broken. This club is cursed. No matter what it does, it ends in failure. At least the players board can detach because they're not fans. Man, this is something like I saw Howson's video released this morning. It's like, was it not talking about football? It's just like a nice half an hour walk to the gym. I think you know how mentally exhausting this is, but it's over this last year, it has been all-consuming, man. All-consuming. And because I am the face, I cannot step away at any point, because all of us, all of you are United fans, and you love to come here for the conversation. But man, it has been tough. And this one in particular, I said this to you months and months and months ago. I said, if it doesn't work out with Ruben Amorim, I don't know where to turn next. I think I do know where to turn now. And it's obvious. And like someone coming down there, Renovate, saying it's 3 games, guys. Oh my God, geez. Like, dude, it's not 3 games. Come on. Don't be stupid. It's 3 games with the continuation of last season. Like, don't be unreasonable in saying that. That's the sort of thing that maybe a non-United fan would say. This is a continuation of what we saw last season when we finished 15th, when we lost the Europa League, and that's the issue. That's the underlying issue. It's just a continuation of what we've had before, and the direction isn't different. Chilbert, you're saying, Sanders, want to say I've watched a fair few United podcasts this morning. You're the most level-headed, sensible. Thank you very much, dude. I try to be. Look, I swear sometimes I'm a United fan. I'm pissed off sometimes. I'm a United fan, right? I do not want to see, especially with Ruben. Like, I can tell he's a genuinely passionate and committed manager of United. And yeah, maybe it is ultimately going to be the system and the tactical flaws that get held up as the reason why he's gone. But I swear to God, he could have put out 4 at the back last night, 7 at the back, 9 at the back, 3 at the back. It didn't matter because of how those players approached that game. And I don't even think, this is a big thing, right? I said it earlier. I don't even think those players went into that game going, you know what? Can't be arsed, actually. I don't think they saw it coming. I don't think they knew it was coming. Because Manchester United got swallowed by a Grimsby atmosphere. It really is as grim as it gets. Fans don't understand that apart from the formation, the system of Ruben is not even being applied, says Milan. The players are responsible. It's a bit of both, isn't it? That's what I'm not going to sit here and try and absolve Ruben Amorim from any blame. I'm not that crazy. But of course, you then look towards the players. I'm going to go down and read some of your chats. Dean said, don't know what it's like for anyone else, but my morning's been hell with the mockery and laughing from mates, mate. I've just turned my phone upside down. You get used to it by now, but last night was a new sort of humiliation. I think it was the first time that Manchester United have ever lost to a 4th division team. I think. SAS is saying he is honest, which I think helps him. Eric was delusional, which lost him with the fans. I remember Eric towards the end. It felt like a good month and a half, didn't it? Of Eric saying that we played really well and we were fantastic when we were all watching it going, I mean, we just played absolutely dog. But that honest approach hasn't brought out a different response from the players when those games emerge. It's like, you know what? I don't know whether Ruben Amorim's now going to be here for the Burnley game. No, sorry, not for the Burnley game, for the City game. I really, really don't. Like, if there's one thing that we have learned so far from watching how Ineos manage and run United, is they do not give a toss about fan sentiment. Post the Ten Hag situation. I think the Ten Hag situation may have been slightly affected by fan sentiment. But anything past that, they're like, now we're making our own decisions here and it's us. They will not be sitting there just going, he's a nice dude, don't. They will approach it in the exact same cutthroat way that they've approached redundancies and everything else. If they feel that now is the time, then they won't wait. And they will do it. A couple of super chats and read these out. The best team won and the best players lost. Yeah, I did see that, Luke, as well. What do you want to see think's going to happen? Fire it in the comments. Right? What do you think's going to happen? Andy's saying, Sam, can you imagine going to Anfield or Newcastle away? Well, we've got... Is it City away? Or are they at home? I think it's City away. And then after the next international break, we've got Liverpool, but I think it's Liverpool at Old Trafford. Flawless saying Amorim lost the moderates last night. Man, that was bad. That was really bad. Quite a few players talking in there about how Amorim will walk. The logical part of me would think, well, no one's going to walk away from that because obviously they're just going to miss out on the millions that come with that. But for some reason, part of me genuinely thinks there is a possibility that Amorim could be the one that walks. Someone down there saying, I don't believe it's about the manager or the tactics. The players are not ready to go physical and aggressive for 90 minutes, but they have been, and they did it against Arsenal, and they did it in the pre-season, and they have done it. They are fit enough to do it. We look sharp. We do look. They can do it. And I swear, I don't think it was a case of them choosing not to do it. It's just like they couldn't do it. It's like they had something internally holding them back. So I mean, it's like a demon that just pops out in those moments in United games, and the players don't know how to sort of push it downwards and go, no, that's all right. Let's just stick to what we've worked on. It's like their mind gets taken out. It's like they're schizophrenic. And they can't stop it from happening, no matter how much they try. Someone down there saying, who's that captain saying, you can see the system doesn't work. We can see it. Amorim either can't see it or is stubborn and ignorant to change, whilst the players have to adapt to this unquestionably. Clearly, it's a disconnection. I've always felt that the system itself had enough flexibility in the idea that you can play three at the back and be really aggressive with as like a 3-5-2. Or if you wanted to, you can drop it into a back five in a defensive mode. A bit like when Sporting played City in his last game in the Champions League. They sat really deep and hit on the counter, but a lot of times they actually want to be on the front foot. I think if I was to choose what I think is the biggest flaw in Amorim's system, I think I'd probably go for the midfield too. Simply for the fact that both of those two midfielders are expected to cover so much ground because there's a lot of space. And we've never had the midfielders suitable for it. And if you were just to drop another midfielder onto the top of it, the requirement for ground coverage is slashed significantly, and you likely will always have a man centrally available for progression. So therefore, you'll be able to build up a little bit slower. Everyone will have to run a little bit less. You may therefore be a little bit less effective on the transitions and the counters, but if I was to choose one thing, I would bring in that third midfielder. And I've already said how I would do it. Hooky saying, related to your video last night, was close to tears with pure anger and frustration. Exhausted is the word. And that's exactly what Ruben Amorim looked like, man. Wrong one. He looked exhausted last night. He looked absolutely exhausted. Viraj saying, opening and scrolling through social media is depressing today. It's nothing new, is it? How long have we been in this now? Jeez. And you get dopamine hits from cup victories. We also lost the Europa League final under Amorim and Solskjaer. But the dopamine hits of cups don't last past a little honeymoon period, if you want to call it that. Big Dave saying, never seen you so dejected. You know, it's because I genuinely I feel like Amorim, right? I feel like I don't know where to turn now. I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. I think I know where United will turn. And I think if Ruben Amorim is replaced, I think the only place that United can go is Premier League proven managers. There's absolutely nothing else that we can do. We've literally brought in two, like Erik ten Hag and Ruben Amorim were two of the up-and-coming managers that was supposed to be part of the next era of managers. And look at what's happened to both of them. What else are you saying down here? Threat Logic is saying, what do you think about Amorim cowering in the dugout during penalties? But I personally think people are looking into that a bit too much. Like, what, so you're a player about to take a penalty? Oh, let me look over to my manager. Oh, my manager's giving me the thumbs up. Great. Or maybe it might be a case of if the players turn around and it's mid-penalty shootout and they look and they see their manager cowering, that might have an impact. Maybe. I personally think people are looking into that a little bit too much. But unfortunately for Amorim, this is going to be one image which really sort of gets held up against him now. It is tiring, isn't it? It really is tiring. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba. What happens next? So we got Burnley on Sunday. Will the players respond? As if I give a toss now. Like, seriously, as if I, and it will just, I'll be honest, if I'm Ruben Amorim, right, and I go and I watch and I manage this team against Burnley and they turn up, do you know how pissed off I'm going to be? I'll be like, are you being for real? You've now decided that you can do that against Burnley after you've just humiliated and betrayed me as a manager and a coach against Grimsby. You couldn't have done that on Wednesday night, no? No? Right. Fair. Nice one. Cheers, lads. Yeah, I know I do give a toss. Of course I do. That's why I get so angry. Someone saying, how did Mainu play for you? Quite enjoyed it. If I'm being honest. I like watching Kobbie Mainu play football. But Kobbie is certainly someone who would benefit from a midfield three. I just think this whole team would. I think it's like that sheer lack of progression that we really have centrally, unless you get like an arrow pass, like Bayindir did one pass to Bruno against Arsenal, I think it was, right between the two pressing Arsenal forwards that kind of cut them open through the middle. And you're like, whenever you see a bit of central progression from Manchester United, it stands out, doesn't it? You go, what? I'm not used to seeing that. Typically, United is always go to the wing backs, maybe cut inside, probably do a little switch diagonal, maybe get a nice touch and then go one-on-one with your fullbacks. Kind of happens a lot. But rarely do you just see United just ping it, just like, not even difficult passes, but just like 5, 6, 7, nice. I'm not talking tiki-taka. But it's just the central progression just doesn't happen. I don't really think it ever can happen in the midfield too. A bit. And you're saying Moyes and Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Ten Hag and Ruben turn to who next? The manager's not the root of the problem. There is a deep rot. Everybody knows that. Amorim knows that. And if there's going to be one thing that he really, really focused on in pre-season, it was getting rid of things which are contributing to the rot. The players that were left out, they probably could have cut. Has it made it more difficult for United to sell them? Maybe. But it contributes to a better overall environment, a playing environment, a team environment. I really wanted to work with Manchester United this season, just in even like little collaborations, but they closed the doors on it because they're trying to tighten everything and keep it in-house. And I was frustrated, but I understood it. That contributes to a better environment to stop the rot. Bringing the right players in. I think I still like people. I can. Look, it's football, man, and they're probably not even United fans, but people trying to dig out Šeško on literally his United debut. But this is the environment. Like, I feel dead sorry for sending them on, by the way. Imagine being that lad and coming into this environment. You are going to have to admit, and by the way, he has weaknesses when it comes to crosses and claiming high balls. It's a little bit of a weakness in his game, which I'm going to cover in a profile if we do sign him. But this deep rot, I'm pretty convinced that the only thing that fixes, I mean, this might sound really bloody obvious, and yeah, of course it is, but the only thing that fixes this deep rot and the scars that we have got is winning over a consistent period of time. And I know that's such an obvious thing to say, but like, it doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter about if you get the right manager in or you get rid of the right players and you bring in new faces. There are just like these scars that just can't possibly be healed unless you win. And they can't win because of those scars. And it's like this perpetual black hole of Manchester United that just pulls you into the middle when it gets to those games where, is it hostility? Is it? I don't know how to explain it, and neither could Ruben in those interviews last night. You could tell he was biting his tongue, but I'll go back to it again there. This one here, him saying that something has to change and he's not going to change 22 players again. I think he's sort of very aware of what happens next. And truth be told, and I said this going into the season, I did my video on sort of Ruben Amorim's 2.0 and what kind of needs to change and improve from last season. You had to get results. You had to get results early this season because the patience that was given by fans, and United fans were patient last season. We finished 15th. We lost the Europa League. But it couldn't just be a continuation of last season. Unfortunately, it's been exactly that. The Arsenal game, you might argue, was different, but I would also come back to you and say, well, actually, last season, there were so many games where United had loads of chances and couldn't score and couldn't finish their dinner. That's exactly what happened against Arsenal, albeit we were actually far more dominant against Arsenal than we would have been in games like that last season. But we lost, and then we drew against Fulham, and now we've lost against Grimsby. Let me see what he's saying down here in the chat. I think we play so badly against lower-ranked teams because the players think they are too good to compare to their opponents. Look, last night was Grimsby's cup final. Last night will be the game of football that every one of those Grimsby players, when they're old and grey, will talk about. I was there when Grimsby beat Man United. They have just set a legacy of a lifetime, and they played like it. And when you come up against teams like that, you have to be so damn proud of the shirt that you're wearing to stop that from happening, because if you don't, then the energy that's going to come in the other direction is just going to be unstoppable. And it's exactly what it was last night. And it's just the amount of times we've had this conversation, when you go back to the basics and you go back to the fundamentals. And here we are again. And you know what? It's probably going to end up with Ruben Amorim losing his job as a consequence. And then what do we do? Then where do we go? I don't think all is lost. But I'll ask you in the chat, right? Because we know how Ineos are going to approach this. We've seen it in how they've approached every other part of the business. But if you're Ruben Amorim and you're thinking, right, no, I'm not giving up on this yet, what changes are you making? What are you doing? Like, what are you aware of? And obviously, we've spoken about the system. I've already said the one that I think would have to happen is like, I'm telling you, if you drop the two number 10, to push the two number 10s up, play split strikers and drop the number 9 to become a midfield 3, you probably help yourself a lot in terms of playing out from the back with the ball. You probably just help the overall shape of the team. I think that's one change and one tweak which wouldn't require an absolute ton of tactical work on the training ground, because the majority of the whole team stays in the same sort of positions and patterns as they had before, but you more regularly have one man deeper and more central for the two midfielders. Enzo, you're saying about changing the formation. As I said, you're not going to get a complete switch of formation within the space of 48 hours. Like, it's not going to happen. You might get minor tweaks, but you're not going to get a complete flip. Sod that. Let's just play 4-4-2. It won't happen. MB saying United have been stuck between counter-attacking and possession football for a while. Each manager struggles to evolve the squad. Finish the open heart surgery and bring Xavi. Oh, my God. I can't have any sort of energy for any manager right now. I really can't. And you're saying you're backing Amorim for the season. Whatever decisions he makes, I will judge him in May. And if we are still this bad, then I'll go at him. But it's just not going to happen, is it? It's the 28th of August, peeps. It can't be a case of just sitting there and watching repeated mistakes and repeated errors on the pitch and repeated problems. There has to be tweaks. There simply has to be tweaks. Because Ruben knows it, and I know it. Time is of the essence now. That's not a thing. Bruno, Cunha, and Šeško would do it up front. That's why we can't do it. What we're talking about there. Positive thought. Remember how bad things were in Brian Clough at Leeds, and he was successful at Forest? Random comparison. Play Mainu and Baleba in the mid. Well, a little bit of a problem there. We don't have Baleba. Worst part of the international break. To me, Ruben last night realised that the exact direction he's going on won't work. That's why he looked exhausted. That's why he looked lost. Why is it that this playbook that I created over years of work in man management, in rebuilding a club that finished and hadn't won the league in 20 years, and I brought them in and won the title in the first season. Sure, it's Portugal, but it was an incredible job that he did there. Why is it that isn't working at Manchester United? And he's just flabbergasted. He probably does feel betrayed by the players, but he has to change stuff himself now. I'm telling you that there has to be a tweak to that system. Maybe there has to be a tweak to the pressing system. I don't know, but there's gonna have to be tweaks. Ruben Amorim can't now just continue in the way that we've been playing and just expect that the system is going. I think we've got enough evidence now that it's just simply not going to work. I'm not tactically astute enough to tell you anything past those two things. I think dropping, I don't need to explain it again, but that one tweak with the system and maybe one tweak to the pressing shape. Probably the only two things that I think United could or should do before the Burnley game. Other than that, I don't know what to say. But last night was savage. No, someone down there said, Sam, your plan is don't play Šeško or play with... No, you play split strikers. So you can play Šeško up front. Probably with Cunha. Maybe not. And then you play one number 10, which is going to be Bruno Fernandes. Or you could play Ahmad there. Or you could play, if you wanted to, Mbeumo there. And then play Bruno's, probably playing Mbeumo central. I don't know. Actually, in fact, no, you play Cunha there. You play Mbeumo and Šeško up front. Cunha is the number 10. Bruno and probably Kobe in midfield. That's what I think we'll do. Of course, Heaton. This is definitely the earliest crisis that we've had in the season, and it's because it's a continuation of last season where we finished 15th. That's why it's reached this point after 3 games. And that's why it feels like it's been a lot longer than 3 games. Right? Fun times being a United fan, isn't it? Fun times. I can't even say it anymore. At some point, United will be great again. I just don't know when that's going to be. We've tried so many different things, methods, managers, approaches, and it always ends up in the same situation. Carl, you're asking for updates on transfers. Look, we've got, 4 days left? Closes on Monday night. I feel fully broken. All right, I'm going to end the show now. Ruben's going to have to make tweaks for the game against Burnley. But I genuinely think there's a possibility that he goes in the international break, judging by how Ineos have managed so far. All right, take it easy, everyone.